Motorcycle Garage is proud to present the voice of the American biker. They not only design, build, destroy, and rebuild the fanciest metal two wheels can stand, they ride, baby. Now, here are your hosts, Bill Miko and Todd B. Wilson.
I'm Bill Miko, and this is Todd Wilson, and welcome to another episode of Motorcycle Garage. And boy, do we have a bike for you this week. A 2000 Fat Boy with 700 miles on it.
This is a barn find that people like me just dream of. This is a dream come true. This was Harley's most desirable softail back in the day. It was about $16,000 or so when it was new. Right now, about $8,000 to $9,000 or so, and you get a gorgeous, gorgeous motorcycle. This thing is literally brand new underneath, but it's got a lot of dirt and gook from years of sitting.
And another thing is, with a motorcycle or any vehicle that's been sitting this long, there's definitely going to be some issues. Fuel tank, same old fuel. Probably not going to smell too good. I'm sure the carburetor is pretty gunked up. Also, we noticed there's probably some guck on the other side. Looks like maybe the fuel valve's been leaking, so that could be an issue too. So Todd's probably going to show us how to rebuild that while I get going on the carburetor and start the disassembly.
We'll probably end up replacing the diaphragm as well as the filter, because usually what happens is they get all hard and brittle afterward, and they crack and make it so it's unusable.
Remember, this has been sitting a long time. When you have a motorcycle like this, it's been sitting for this many years, there's a lot of things you're going to have to look at. We'll also have to take a look at the battery in a little bit, because you know that's not going to be any good. And we'll show you how to load test that with a Midtronics tester. In a carburetor like this over the years, we've learned a lot of tricks. And we'll get into that where we can save you some money. You won't have to go to the dealership and make your bike perform a lot better. So we'll get the carburetor top off. You get to see what that looks like. And you're going to have this spring here. You just take the spring out, this little top, which sits on top of this diaphragm. And what we do is we usually just push this down like this. And then we'll take the needle out so we can take a look at that. So this diaphragm just moves up and down. You have this spring that pushes it back down. And then this just sits on top of the diaphragm, and this holds the needle in place. Now, one of the neat things you can do when you're modifying one of these carburetors, you can go and you can buy a DynoJet kit like this, which is a really good kit. They're pretty expensive, though. You're looking at about $80. And it comes with all the jets and things like that you need. Now, one thing you can do if you want to save some money, you can get yourself some 45,000 shims, like I show here in this package. And what we do is we take those shims, and we slide them on and we place them under the needle, which raises the needle up. And if you look, we have a taper here. So now you're actually going to be putting more fuel into the motor at a different RPM than you would have been. So you don't have to really go the expense of the kit. This has if you were changing exhaust and an air cleaner, you can get away with these modifications. If you want to do anything more than that, then you have to go with a jet kit. This has different larger jets. You're going to need more fuel for that type of performance. But for what we're doing today, we're going to do our little shim trick, and that should take care of it. We're going to pull the bowl off. And this just pulls right off. Sitting on there for a while, so it's a little stiff. All right, we have our gasket. We'll pull this one off because we're going to replace it with a new one. Look at the bowl. It's pretty nasty in here. We'll have to go in here and clean this up. And another thing you want to do is you can take this bowl and kind of shake it around, and you should hear a rattle. There's a a little check valve that sits in here. If you don't hear the rattle like I'm not hearing, that means we're probably going to have to soak this in some carburetor cleaner for a while, or even a cold tank to get this free. Another thing we want to do, inside here is an accelerator pump, a diaphragm. We're going to take this apart because what happens is fuels tend to eat these out, and this will definitely have to be replaced. So just a few more screws here. And pop that off. There's a little spring in here for the diaphragm. And we take out our old accelerator pump. This one's been sitting for a while. And there you have it. This is what the diaphragm, this is where it sits, this is what it looks like. We'll clean this up. Carburetor doesn't really look too bad. We'll take the jets out. And all you need is a little adjustable. And we'll take the whole emulsion tube out, just not the jet, because there's two ways to do this. You could hold this like this, and you could take a slotted screwdriver and just take the jet out. But where this has been sitting so long, we want to make sure we take out the complete unit. You can see some discolor in here, and you see these small little holes. It doesn't take much to plug those up. These are the things you need to have clear and things you need to look for when you're disassembling a carburetor. Also in here, there's another, this is a low-speed jet. We're going to pop this jet out. Once we get that out, we're pretty much ready to go. I mean, the needle, we're going to take a look at that too. Now, when you're doing a needle on a CV carburetor like this, you're going to see an arrow. And what that arrow points to is the direction to pop the, to take this slide out here, this pin. If you go the opposite way, you'll actually break the towers. So you want to make sure you observe the arrow and take it out in the right direction. And now the tricky part. This is where you have to be really careful because, again, observe the arrow. It shows you the direction that you want to push the pin out. Sometimes it might be good to have an extra hand. I'm just going to kind of use my body here and gently tap this. See if we can get it started. Then we can just pull it out. And now we can lift our float out and take a look at the needle. Now, an interesting thing about these needles, the early ones only had 3 sides to them. The newer one that we'll put in here will have 4 sides. It makes the float a little more stable and less likely to leak out fuel when the bike's running. So that's it for the disassembly of the carb. I think maybe we should go and check out and see what Todd's doing.
We're going to take care of this fuel valve that Bill spoke about earlier, now that he's done hogging all the camera time. What we have to do is we have to pivot the fuel valve a little bit. So we're going to put a vacuum source onto the back of it. We're also going to cut the clamp that's right here. Take that off. When we do so, we're going to take our fuel line off. We'll put a piece of clear tubing on, and that way we can run down through. We're going to try and get this nasty fuel out of the gas tank. Go ahead and supply some vacuum to it. When we do that, the fuel will run out. We'll drain what's left in this fuel tank. Okay, now we can take this off. And I'm sure what we're going to find up inside here is we're going to find not only is the diaphragm shot, but I would be willing to bet that the fuel filter is going to be all chewed up and, oh yeah. Yeah, you can see it's all cracked. We're going to have to replace that too. Fortunately, here at the Motorcycle Garage, Bill's got all kinds of spare parts. So we'll go ahead. We'll fit this to the correct direction that's on there. We also have to make sure that we check this diaphragm, and I am pretty sure that we're going to find this is in really, really bad shape. So we'll take these 4 screws out of it. Bill, is fuel fumes smell as bad as us after Buffalo Wild Wings on a Friday night? Oh, man. This is some nasty stuff. Fuel these days will start going bad after about 90 days. And if you don't use fuel stabilizer, oh my, this is one of the worst looking diaphragms I've ever seen. It is all chewed up. We have a spring that holds it in place, but there are holes all the way through it. It's all torn. It's actually broken away from the other side of it, so we're definitely going to have to replace that. So we'll set that out of the way. Take this off the rest of the way, and we'll put a new diaphragm on. Wow, this is just shot. Bill, this thing is about as hard as Chinese algebra. With the high state of tune on today's motorcycle engines, you have to be extra careful about the quality of fuel you put into it. Most of us have taken to use an octane booster, but this is a real expensive alternative. It's about $18 for a 15-ounce bottle.
Well, that may be a great product, TB. I know you were wondering what I was doing with this can of xylene earlier today. Well, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you how to mix your own octane, because the whole premise of the Motorcycle Garage is to help save you money. So check this out. We have some mineral spirits, and we have some Marvel Mystery Oil. Now, this may be a great product, and it works fantastic, but you can take 100 ounces of this, mix it with 25 ounces of this, and mix it with 3 ounces of this. This acts as the lubricant, this is the cleansing agent, and this is the octane boost. Mix it all together, and for less than probably $20, you can mix up a gallon of octane boost and bring it up to about 117.
Holy smokes.
And you know, I've used this before. I've used it. I've taken motors apart that have over 10,000 miles on them with this same exact combination of chemicals for an octane boost, and no issues at all. And the bikes run great.
You know, it's a much better way to use your chemical skills than some of the things you hear about with 2-liter bottles out there today.
That's right. Well, you know, you can check these formulations and other great products out at motorcyclegarage.net. Welcome back to the Motorcycle Garage. We've got our battery installed. Now Todd's going to put on the Midtronics 300 tester and show you how we can load test the battery.
This is a real nice tester. It's very complete, and all you do is follow your instructions. What we'll do, we'll hook it up to the motorcycle. Of course, positive side first. Then go to our negative. Notice how the negative side is toward Bill?
That's right.
It's not an accident. Okay. Once you do that, you get a prompt on your screen that tells you that the battery right now is at 12.74 volts, and it also tells you to go ahead and hit enter to continue. This is nice because it walks you all the way through it. The battery location we've set, it's in the vehicle. You can also test it on the bench if you want. It's an AGM battery, as we said earlier, the absorbent gas mat. We've selected that. Now, the way these batteries are measured is cold cranking amps. If you have a doubt, it's right on the top of the battery. And this particular one is rated at 310 cold cranking amps. We're going to set it at 155, which is half of the 310. And it goes ahead and it's going to test our battery for us. It comes back that it's 12.71 volts, and it is a good battery. Now the next function that we can do is we can hit the starter test. This will go ahead and test the starter on the motorcycle, and since Bill has gone ahead and gotten everything buttoned up, we're going to go ahead and do that.
I have the privilege of starting the bike for the
You
first
are
time.
going to be allowed to start the motorcycle.
I'm excited. All right.
See, it even says start engine.
Excellent. I need that. Okay, is the choke out?
The enrichener is out.
We are good to go. Look at that,
How
buddy.
about that?
Got it right up.
Nice
10
job.
years.
Huh?
All right.
Now, the cranking result is normal. Cranking voltage is 10.92. That's just where we want to be.
Looking good.
Okay? We can also go from this, and we can check a charging test. All we have to do is just wait for it to come up and tell us, press the enter for charging. We go ahead and do that. Now it'll go through, it'll read our charging voltage. When we get all done, it'll give us a readout here. It's not that important we can see that because there's a nice little printer built right into the system. So it's reading the charging voltage. Bill, you're going to give our guess on our charging voltage?
I'm going to say we're right around 13 and a half, 14 volts.
All right. I'm thinking we're going to be a little bit higher, but we'll see. There we go. Charging voltage, 14.58 volts.
We're looking good.
Yep. So we can go ahead and we can press the enter button to print it. And it'll print out nice here, give us the results. You know, so far this is turning out to be quite the bike.
I'll tell you what, for a barn find, you think I could have this bike when we're done?
You know, I think if you ask your ex-wife for some money that she stole from you, you could probably have a whole bunch.
Okay. All right, well, we're ready to, you know what, we're ready to take this down, we'll get it off the ramp, we'll take it outside, we'll wash it up nice, and then, you know, we gotta come back, we gotta do a little detailing, because I noticed some scratches in the paint, so we'll do that first, we'll come back, and we'll fix the paint, we'll buff it up, and we'll be good to go. Welcome back. You can see we got our bike on the bench, but now we just got to make it shine a little bit. So we have some good products for that. Bike Bright has this product here. It's called Moto Black. This will make this motor look like brand new. So Todd, here you go, my friend. You put some on your side.
Thank you.
And while Todd's doing that, we have an issue with this fender. I don't think we want to let it go out of here with this big scratch in it that Todd put in the fender. So we want to fix that up. So I'm going to take a little 2000 sandpaper. I'm going to wet it a little bit. And we're just going to lightly sand this area, kind of smooth down the scratch. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand this up nice. There are a couple little other marks on here too. And you don't want to go too far with the 2000. You want to keep it wet. All right, I think we got that pretty good, Todd.
Nice.
How you doing there with the Moto Black?
I think it's going to be very dark when we're done.
That looks pretty good. Wipe that off. Ah, yeah, much better. Now, we're going to start with a heavy compounding material. A little on a nice soft towel. We're using really soft towels. That way we're not just putting more marks into the surface. And this is what's going to start to get us our shine back. Initially, this will dull the paint up a little bit. Again, I'm not big on having to use a machine on this. There are guys that are really good with a machine. They won't burn through the paint. You can see now we're getting really close with this. The sheen's starting to come back. It's not quite where we want it, but it's getting real close.
You said the sheen is starting to come back. Is that in reference to Charlie? Is he going to be joining us on this show?
I wish he would, because he'd make me laugh more than you do.
Yeah, the Torpedo of Truth tour. It's the motorcycle garage.
Yes, the garage of truth.
Well, that just about does it. This bike is beautiful.
This thing is beautiful. I mean, this is what you call a pristine barn find. But hey, buddy, last thing, who gets to ride it?
Flip you for it.
All right, dig it in, get the coin. Are you ready? Heads or tails?
I'm calling heads.
He's calling heads. It's up. It's the flip. It's tails.
Oh!
I get to ride.